Hi everyone, my name is Danny. Welcome to another video here on Danny's Corner. Today I want to talk about immigration. The latest news that I have heard is that Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has been impeached by a narrow margin. Why? This is because of what's going on in the southern border, a thing that Joe Biden has not been able to handle that well. And it's easy to blame Joe Biden and his administration for the way that they have been going on with these things, the whole thing with illegal immigration. But the question is he really to blame? On this channel, what I have tried to do is to make people aware. And obviously, I'm not able to force anyone. I am just able to tell you my experiences and tell you some of the things that I have lived through, and you make your own mind up. Okay. So I just recently finished a documentary about the crisis in New York, and that is not the only one. There's seems like a crisis with undocumented people everywhere. And so it's amazing how people are being displaced from schools. Homeless people are having to sometimes sleep from place to place more and more. They're getting displaced further. Even there are very few benches in New York City because they don't want people to sleep on those benches. Anyway, where am I getting with this? When I was reviewing the comments, which there were a lot, and I'm going to link that video, I'm going to leave it pinned to a comment here. One of the things that struck me, although I have heard it so many times, is this whole attitude of America first. That we shouldn't be helping undocumented workers. We shouldn't be helping undocumented people, period. Because we should be giving priority, to people who have come to this country the legal way, people who have worked a lot, and then you have the other side, which is kind of like, my kids can't go to school because of this or because of that. So there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of rage going on, and it's being misdirected at the undocumented people that are coming here. So because this is a complex topic, and I think I have talked about several of the underlying issues on other videos, which I will post. I think I have a playlist, and I will post it somewhere. Okay, here's what's going on. During the 1980s, the 1990s, when I was growing up, but even before that, we already had a problem, not exactly with immigration per se, but from the 1970s or 1960s onward, we have been having a problem with drug addiction. And if my memory is not wrong, even though there were not a lot of homeless people, how many people did we help during that time? From 1965, let's say, or 1968, until the late 1990s, when the homeless population started to become an issue in some cities in the United States. I don't think very many. In fact, most American people were worried about themselves. They would pass by your homeless person, the person who was a drug addict, and not pay any attention to him or her. These people have been displaced, rejected, and despised for a very long time. just like with other groups. In fact, as I have mentioned before too, this sort of illegal immigration has not been something from recent history. The founding of this nation was built upon that. When slavery was brought to the United States, or what was to come the United States, along with the African diaspora, if you will, or slavery, you had the whole issue of Native Americans who were being killed, who were being, their lands were being stolen, and they were being systematically removed from their place where they grew up. And the fact that, well, they were at war with one another, every tribe was at war with one another, really doesn't make any sense. Because there could have been a better way to resolve the problem. And in fact, the United States just made it worse. So throughout 200 plus years, we have seen that the United States has done very little to help the average person. In fact, the reason why we're having the problems that we're having with immigration is because of the way we have been treating Native Americans ever since the inception of this country, because of the way that we have been treating blacks, because of the way that we have been treating minorities, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The other thing that we have been doing is, as I alluded to earlier, we have not been helping Americans first. As I have said, for a number of decades, we have had homelessness on the rise. You know, we have had drugs on our doorstep, and we have let them in with no problem. And what has the United States done? Just say no. Did that ever work? I don't think so. So eventually, very little has been done to prevent this whole massive ball of snow from rolling down the mountain and hitting us all. The other thing is, we have grown up in an entitled society because we were born with a silver spoon in our mouths compared to other nations. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, what I'm saying is, as Americans, we did not build this nation. Always remember that it was slaves and or other minorities that built what was to become the United States of America. It wasn't your average person. Did they contribute? Absolutely. But it was after the foundation had been laid, if that makes any sense. With that said, it's easy to say, I was born here. I have rights. I have this. I have that. For another foreigner, undocumented, illegal person to come and take it away. It's very easy to say that when you didn't help the movement. It's very easy when you think of other countries who have had nothing, and relatively speaking, you have had everything that you have ever wanted compared to them. You've had an education. You've lived in a house, comfortable as it is. So it's interesting that now you're complaining that people are stealing away things that you didn't help build. Neither did I. As I said, other people did that. And if it were not for those people, none of us would be in the place where we find ourselves now. And so now that the tables have been turned, because they were inevitable, all these people that say, I could have never imagined that this would have happened in 100 years or 200 years or any other phrase that they use. These people are blind, much more blind than I am. Because people like me could have told you this was a long time coming. We have been just trying to hide, sweep things under the rug, and that doesn't help us. And eventually, well, now we see the consequences. If you think that this is bad, what's happening in Texas, what's happening in California, New York, Arizona, and in other states, and you think this is the end of America, you haven't seen anything yet. I am not suggesting that people come to this nation illegally. That's not what I'm promoting. But what I am saying is that if you want to blame somebody for this mess that we are under, that we have caused, let's blame ourselves. As I said, we have caused it. There are points to consider here, besides the ones that I have mentioned. Number one is this whole lie of the American dream. The American dream is only that, an American dream. You have to be asleep to believe it. I have talked about how people with disabilities have been treated for a number of years. And so now for all these people that claim to want to help the American people to have honest wages or work or whatever, can't believe any of that. After all these minorities, the way they've been treated, now you want to remember, or now you care about the American people, now that you see that you're getting invaded? Let's remember who invaded whom first. With that said, let us also remember why these people are coming to this country. Just like we have been sold a lie, they have been sold a lie as well. No, the politicians didn't go over there and told them that there was an American city or an American country, and the light was shining upon that country, and that if they went there, they would find their dreams come true. But indirectly, they were responsible for bringing that message to their countries. And so were the family members. When you see people going to places like Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and so forth, a lot of these people, unfortunately, very quickly continue or start this journey of, I want to be dressed well when I visit this country, or I want to appear as somebody that I am not when I arrive to this country. I want to take them a gift or something like that. I want to wear this. I want to wear that. They want to show off to their family members. So that contributes to this whole idea that, oh, look at this. America is rich. America is this. America is that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, TVs, the movies, the shows, the books that people read. What is that you see in your typical sitcom or movie or another TV show? What is it that you read? Imagine that you were in another country where books were translated into Spanish, Japanese, Portuguese, or any other language. You're going to see that everything is beautiful. You're going to see that everything is nice, clean, that everybody gets everything. But very few people take the time to investigate. That's because Imagine at that time, 1970s, 1980s, or I'm not speaking about before then because it was non existent, people really didn't have the how to do that. And even now, don't think that the internet is accessible to everyone. Some people still get their information via news, books, and TV. With that said, the other thing that contributes to this whole misunderstanding of the United States is the amount of money that gets sent to these nations. Millions and millions of dollars get sent to these nations, and in a way, this is what helps their economies to grow. And so when the people see that, they say, I want to live in America. It seems like you're earning a lot. And it doesn't matter what you tell them after 2 or 3 years, there is some sort of resentment that goes on even within some families in Latin America. Because they think that when a person gets here, it's all peaches and cream. Because again, that's what they have been told all their lives. As I said, through media, through status, through false information. So that's the first part, along with the things that I already said. The other thing to consider of why America is in the place that it is right now, filled with a bunch of people, and it can't do anything to stop this juggernaut. If you didn't know this, remember that the United States has been involved in foreign affairs ever since I can remember. Ever since I started finding out about all of these things, which was back in 1992, 93. And, you know, suffice it to say, the United States has been involved in wars, battles. It has supported dictators in Latin America in one way or another. It has trained people here in the United States. And those people have gone back to their countries and used their training for evil purposes. I can't get too explicit, or I can't say too much, but if you were to read a little bit of history, not what your school has been trying to feed you, try to find independent sources that are non-biased. You will see that America has done much more harm to our Latin American countries than the corrupt politicians of those countries. So yes, those countries are the way that they are. In part, it's because of the United States meddling in something that they should have never gotten involved with. And so when these people say that they want to leave their country because of this or because of that, it's the truth. It's because, again, the United States helped to create that environment of instability, that environment of fear, that environment of chaos. And the proof is in the pudding. How have we in America been manipulated for 20 plus years? In some administrations more than others. But remember from 2001 to 2008, how fear entered our lives and how we were on edge with everything that happened? What about from 2016 to 2020 and even today? Fear is something that grips us until today, and we're not going to get rid of it that easy. We are responsible for what's happening to us now. Out of all of the things that the United States has done, which it has done many, many bad things, how many times has the United States apologized or tried to make something right for all the wrongdoings? Not only to those Latin American countries, but also to Native Americans, black people, the people that went through experiments conducted by the United States, people with disabilities, the struggle that women have had to vote. And I can go on and on and on and on. And so you're complaining about people filling up your cities, invaders? Give me a break. We did it first. And there are some stories that you have not heard about because you have been so blind that you have only believed the version that this country gives you, and you have not gone far enough or far at all. You have decided to stay in your own little bubble, believing that the United States is great, believing that none of your presidents, the 45 of them, 46 of them, can't do anything wrong. You still believe that America is flawless. And we're still fighting amongst ourselves. Republicans are always right, or Democrats are always right. We can never look within ourselves, not as individuals and much less as a whole, as a country, and say, you know what? We have serious issues that we need to deal with. It's very easy to put the blame on other people. And have noticed this for a number of years. First, or not first, but I can name a list of them. China for the virus. Then it was Mexico for the problem that they had with pork. And if it's not Mexico, it's the Democrats doing this and doing that. And if it's not the Democrats, now you're blaming mental illness on why there are so many shootings. And if it's not that, is the sexual orientation and how that's becoming a problem, the decline of America. And if it's not that, it's illegal immigration. And if it's not that, it's, look at how many drugs these people are bringing in. Notice how in all of these things, and I can continue with some more, in all of these things that I have mentioned, the United States is never to blame for any of the things that it has done to other countries. As a nation, we have never stopped to think and to reflect. What are we doing? What have we been doing for the last 40 to 50 to 60 years that has enabled us to become a society so loose? What has enabled us to become a society that is so judgmental, arrogant, high and mighty? You name it. We have not humbled ourselves whatsoever. And this is a problem. And this is going to continue to be a problem until the United States does not realize that we need to change first. And enable to change first, as I said, we need to realize within ourselves, I am part of the problem and not part of the solution. Insulting, degrading these people is not going to solve the issue. Creating consciousness is, creating awareness first within me and then within other people, so the whole nation can heal. That's going to change something. And finally, come together, the two parties. No time for blame and game and who's good or who's bad. Just common sense policies. We started this whole thing. We built this monster called the United States of America. We are the ones responsible for invading other countries, and we don't know the atrocities that those people went through from those countries because we have never taken the time to explore that. We only care about ourselves, about our wealth, about our comfort, about other things, but we don't care about other people. We didn't even care about homeless people until a while ago. We didn't care about military until a while ago. We don't care about people we don't care about anybody. Only when we see that something is affecting us directly is when we start caring. Otherwise, what's that thing that we say? Let them worry about their problem. It's not my problem anyway. And that's the attitude that has gotten us here. I don't know what else I can say about this. But believe me when I say this. If we don't stop this, and we're still able to, but if we don't stop this, if both parties are not able to come to their senses once and for all and stop this playground fighting, acting as if they were 5-year-olds or 10-year-olds, something much worse is going to come out of all of this. United States, I believe we're at a point where we're at the brink of something. Not sure what it is, but it doesn't seem anything good the way we're handling things. We are destroying ourselves, not only physically, and we notice this because a lot of people have to work sometimes more than 2 jobs, more than 14 hours a day. Kids are spending more time and with technology. There's a lot of things that are going bad for us. So these people that say, oh, if we built a wall and if we made it hard for undocumented workers to come, that's not going to fix anything. Building a wall, and as I said too, with the violence in our schools, by putting more metal detectors and screens and who knows how many other things, that's not going to fix anything. We're just putting a bandage on something that's wide open and needs surgery immediately. We're not doing anything by not doing a thing, because we're not doing a thing. This bickering has to stop. This fighting amongst ourselves has to stop. It's time for us to find solutions. And it can't only be a few of us here on YouTube that talk about these things. We need to unite as a community. And if we don't do that, believe you me, it's going to get much worse. It's easy to blame other people who, by no fault of their own, have been placed in this position. It would be really hard for us to imagine ourselves being in their shoes. After all, we have not been persecuted. We do not have a dictatorship. We're not under a dictatorship. We've come close, but we're not under one. As high as our prices may be when it comes to gas, rent, and other things, we don't have it as bad as those people do. Once again, I invite you to study a history book, study a book on anthropology, the history of whatever country you want, and find the truth. Don't always believe whatever book your teacher places in front of you. I'm not saying that it doesn't have good information. It may. But always try to search for more and more and more and more and search for that. Because the truth will set you free. Sometimes I wonder how many Americans are lazy and don't pick up a book, don't like to watch anything of interest, history, science, nothing having to do with spirituality, nothing whatsoever. We're empty inside, and that reflects on the outside as well. Anyway, let me know what you think, what your comments are, and where do you think this political thing is going to go? Because we're not doing anything. Again, we're not doing anything. I've been around so many years, and there has been no major reform to stop this. And now we're seeing the consequences, as few as they are, of what we have done to other people. Thank you very much. If you have liked this content and you would like to subscribe, make sure to do so. Also, don't forget to share, to comment, make suggestions, any questions that you may have, and be safe. And treat one another with kindness. We never know when we can be on the other side. Thank you very much.